A New Hope's first scene, Battle of Vader overtaking Leia's ship. Empire's first scene, Hoth battle. Return of the Jedi's first scene, Tatooine rescue. But this movie's first scene, political ambassadors part of an envoy to talk about trade blockades.
This opening may not be as interesting as the other films, but it establishes the entire conflict of the prequels.
Funny, since the days of Episode 4, which is technically after this movie's events, how much extra technology this era has over its successor.
Throughout all of the prequels, it's established that, while inferior in number, human clones are superior to droids in terms of their ability to improvise and problem solve. Why would the Empire use a technology that had already proven inferior?
Also, goddammit, this stupid-ass rat tail. I thought various ponytails were for either preventing hair from getting in the way or to be cool. This is neither. Discuss.
The braid may not be stylish, but it does have a purpose. It denotes one as a Padawan learner.
Kill them immediately.
As you wish.
Because killing Jedi is easy. We're on it, boss.
In this instance, the Jedi are trapped on the Lucrehulk with an army of droids and vehicles of war. As illustrated in this crazy in-depth video, a single cruiser could carry around 130,000 battle droids. It makes sense that escape or survival would seem impossible.
They must be dead by now. Destroy what's left of them.
Not only does this asshole not wait long enough for the Jedi to be dead, but he also thinks dead Jedi need further destruction.
What Gunray means is that, in the event that the Jedi are still alive, the droids should finish the job where the gas failed.
These motherfuckers had these Jedi in here all alone, with pretty much nowhere to go. The room is filled with gas. They had no reason to open this door at all. Even if you think they might lightsaber their way through the door, why not just have your droids waiting to gun them down as they did that?
The droids were given direct orders to kill the Jedi if they weren't already dead. Typically, this wouldn't mean, wait outside for them to leave before you kill them. Gunray meant for them to do it immediately. How else would they enter or gain access to the room without opening the door?
Check it out, Corporal. We'll cover you.
Robot soldiers have corporals?
The Trade Federation droid army has a ranking system. However, there is no promotion from within. Droids are produced with differing programming in order to fulfill slightly different tasks.
Master, destroyers!
This movie suddenly becomes like a video game where the bad guys send new enemies for the hero to fight, but just 2 of them so the game doesn't get too challenging too fast.
Droidicas are powerful. The Neimoidians probably thought the 2 would suffice. Why overdo it?
Are they watching this footage in the door that was nearly melted by Qui-Gon just a second ago?
I wanted to break down this scene in a bit more detail, so I've compiled a few clips to corroborate the fact that this is not the same door. First, let's set the scene. There are 3 Neimoidians to pay attention to here: Tae-How, Dalte Dufine, and Nute Gunray. We can see from this scene that How is positioned here, while Gunray and Dufine are pacing along the command walkway. Here we can see the 2 Neimoidians walking away from the screen and towards the door. Confirming their position, How is to their left when they approach the door, and Gunray looks back at How over his left shoulder. Dufine gestures to the door, implying that the door is placed opposite the screen. This is where it gets a bit confusing. The shot leaves off with Dufine and Gunray facing towards the door. We get a brief droidica sequence, and then we cut back to see the 2 standing still, now looking at a screen. I can see how this would be misleading at a glance, especially because there's no transition shot between the 2, but it makes sense when you make note of their position. While facing towards the door, Dufine was to Gunray's right, but now he is to Gunray's left. Now, one could say that the 2 just switched positions, but the final clue lies just behind them. Tae-How can be seen in the background to their right. How has remained stationary the whole time. If we use her as an anchor, we can build a more comprehensive model of both the bridge and the scene. Now we have Tae-How in purple, Dalte Dufine in blue, and Nute Gunray in red. These are color-coded loosely by what they are wearing. The screen is represented here with static, and the door is solid gray. Now we can see this entire sequence play out next to the diagram.
Have you ever encountered a Jedi Knight before, sir?
Well, no, but I don't. Seal off the bridge!
Yes, sir.
That won't. We will not survive this.
That will hold them.
They are still coming through.
Just stand up. Let's go.
They're no match for droidicas.
Sir.
The real mistake here is Gunray looking over his left shoulder at How, who is on his right.
Jedi can only go underwater via the help of some they stole from Q at MI6.
A brief correction here. It's not that Jedi as a whole need these, rather that a human would. Being a Jedi would not affect their ability to breathe underwater, so really what you meant was, non-aquatic Jedi need aquabreathers to breathe underwater. You're implying that a non-aquatic Jedi could use the Force to breathe underwater, to which I say,
That's not how the Force works.
We shall no like the Naboo.
Wait, I thought Naboo was the name of the planet.
Naboo is both the name of the planet and the term for the humanoid surface dwellers.
The speediest way to the Naboo is going through The plan at core.
This place is basically Earth, right? The planet core isn't going to be ridiculously hot or anything?
I'll just leave this here.
Also, the whole reason the clone army came down...
Did Jeremy just say clone army? You're a whole decade ahead of us there, buddy.
He owes me what you call a life debt. Your gods demand that his life belongs to me now.
I know this because I know everything about your culture I just learned existed 5 minutes ago.
This is a very basic concept that Jar Jar just explained.
Mr. Stay! Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. Mr. Your humble servant.
That won't be necessary.
Oh, but it is. 'Tis demanded by the gods, it is.
No knowledge of Gungan law required.
We're not even 20 minutes in, and these hologram meetings make me want to stab the movie screen with Twizzlers.
Holograms are essentially the FaceTime of the Star Wars universe. There are so many planets and galaxies that separate their inhabitants, so a method of visually communicating with someone light years away is kind of a necessity.
You didn't tell him about the missing Jedi.
No need to report that to him until we have something to report.
And obviously, the reigning Sith Lord can't sense Jedi activity on his own, so we're gravy, baby.
Sidious has no reason to believe that the Jedi are alive. He is not actively using the Force to look for the Jedi, and the Force doesn't give information passively.
The Force will guide us.
The Force also guided you to nearly getting eaten by a gooberfish just a second ago. Why do we trust this Force anyway?
The Force is guiding them to their destination. What happens along the journey is simply a byproduct of the environment.
Obi-Wan fixes the ship by playing with a couple of wires. Seems legit.
How else would he fix an electrical failure?
Why are these invading ships attacking in a straight line instead of a super wide front?
It'd be wide, sure, but very thin. A tight formation ensures an unbroken line through the city.
Viceroy, we have captured the Queen.
Ah, victory!
Wait, they captured the Queen without a fight? That's not so much a victory as it is a forfeit.
What evidence is there to insinuate that there wasn't a fight?
You could argue that it's a huge coincidence the two Jedi show up in Naboo at the same time the Queen is being whisked away and at the same spot, but someone's just going to show up in the comments schooling you on midichlorians, so why bother?
Oh, come on. Doesn't every story require some level of coincidence?
We should leave the street, Your Highness.
So absolutely no one from the Federation except a bunch of droids were ensuring the Queen got to the right place?
Yes, a troop of battle droids would have been more than enough to ensure security. The Federation couldn't account for the Jedi that no one knew was on Naboo. Hey, that rhymes.
They need her to sign a treaty to make this invasion of theirs legal. They can't afford to kill her.
What? They need her to sign a treaty to make the invasion of her home planet legal?
Yes, this is just restating what he said.
Every droid but R2-D2 gets shot off the surface of the ship like bottles on Kid Rock's fence. R2, though, that f***er is indestructible, of course.
He's just observing things. He is observing things that are taking place. He is witnessing events.
If we can't get the shield generator fixed, we'll be sitting ducks.
Aren't you all ready? You're right in front of the blockade with a million ships staring you down. How are they missing you?
It's a fast, small, sleek ship. Its chances aren't as bad as they may seem.
Also, once you escape a planetary blockade, no one comes after you.
What are you talking about? Maul follows them to Tatooine.
I want that treaty signed.
Why does it matter if the treaty gets signed or not? Aren't you evil? Do you care about laws and
What they are doing, if made legal, can't be legally interfered with.
I want to know how holograms actually work. Is there a booth you step inside? From the Emperor's perspective, does he see these two guys sitting down as holograms on opposite sides of a table? If so, what at this table is broadcasting them?
Does it really matter to the story? In the slightest.
We're on a stealth mission, so let's bring the slow-ass droid and the clumsy court jester Jar Jar. Brilliant!
They're not really on a stealth mission. They just got stranded here.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't! What, you think you're some kind of Jedi waving your hand around like that?
This didn't work against Jabba, and it didn't work against this pissant. So if the Force is only good against the weak-minded, what good is it? It should be able to take down some smarter creatures too, if it's worth a damn.
Even if it is only good against the weak-minded, it's still useful in some way. Also, it can take down smarter creatures if multiple Jedi attempt to mind trick the same being.
Wouldn't have lasted long anyways if I wasn't so good at building things.
Character backstory disguised as whining.
This is exposition. Why are you saying it?
Is that Greedo in the background?
No.
This storm will slow them down.
Looks pretty bad.
It does? I mean, I hear wind sound effects and the picture is a tiny bit blurry, but as a viewer, I've been given no indication of a super serious sudden sandstorm or its severity.
This is blatant manipulation of a scene and of your audience. You cut this clip to conveniently leave out this shot of an approaching sandstorm.
Come on, I'll take you to my place.
Because sandstorms are very, very dangerous, and this sandstorm happened to coincide with a time when the Jedi and company were humoring a little boy tour guide, the rest of all the Star Wars can happen.
Really? Coincidences will have to be necessary for stories to happen.
I'm the only human who can do it.
You must have Jedi reflexes if you race pods.
Pod racing? It's no different from NASCAR or Formula One. The only human who can do it? Just another bullshit explanation for Qui-Gon to recruit this kid into the Jedi Academy.
No different from Formula One. Also, this explanation is totally valid. Anakin has relied on Jedi reflexes without even knowing it, to the degree that, even without training, he is the only human who can pod race. That's the point of that line, to imply that Anakin is powerful in the Force.
There's something about this boy.
Why can't they Jedi talk to each other? Why do they need these little radios?
Jedi talk to each other? They can't do that, because they physically cannot do that. What does this even mean?
Why can't the Jedi just think really hard and cause every bad guy in the galaxy to explode into little bits?
Oh, no, you okay, Annie?
Quiet, baby Greedo. You're lucky we even let you hold the paddle.
Again implying that every Rodian is... Sorry, hold on. Yeah, never mind.
How does an evil ship with a Sith Lord on it land on this planet without radar or Jedi intuition picking it up?
Radar? Jedi intuition? Again, the Force does not passively give its users information.
I'll wager my new racing pod against, say, the boy and his mother.
Oh, I see. Qui-Gon either knows for a fact that Anakin will win the race, or he's literally risking everything on a hunch. Either way, sin.
The Force can manifest itself as a precognitive ability, meaning that sometimes it can predict the future.
I love how strange evil flying drones are able to wander this planet without anyone thinking it's weird or shady.
This is Star Wars. Weird and shady have no meaning. There are so many types of droids in the Star Wars universe that most people wouldn't assume that these are built for malicious purposes.
Sebulba sabotages Anakin's pod racer in front of thousands of spectators, yet no one sees a thing.
Even if someone in the audience had seen Sebulba, what exactly could they have done?
Is there seriously nothing that tells Anakin that some part of his pod is broken right now?
It's implied that nothing is broken yet, just that Sebulba has made something unstable.
Sebulba's in the lead, followed closely by Skywalker!
Okay, so how did Anakin catch up to Sebulba after his pod didn't start for the first 20 seconds of the race? And if his pod is faster, then why hasn't he blown past him already? He's had 2 major delays and somehow he's right behind the leader.
Anakin's pod racer is actually faster than Sebulba's. Sebulba is taking advantage of his pod's size in order to keep Anakin from passing him.
Remember when Sebulba sabotaged Anakin's pod before the race even started? Yeah, after 3 laps and going zany miles per hour, only now does that affect the ship.
You just answered yourself. All of the wind resistance would have gradually loosened the part.
So these computer screens tell you when something's wrong after all, but only after a ton of damage has been done.
I'm not even going to touch this one.
So what the hell has this probe been doing the whole time? Darth Maul sent 3 of these things out late one night, about 25 minutes ago in movie time. These things couldn't find the broken down ship for one whole evening, during the pod racing the next day, and a 5-hour goodbye to Annie's mom?
The desert is massive, and they were probably gathering as much information as possible before returning to Maul.
Qui-Gon and Anakin are already running long before they know a Sith is just about ready to attack.
There is a deleted scene that explains this. Qui-Gon destroys one of the probe droids in the marketplace, making him suspicious and prompting him and Anakin to run for the ship.
Anakin, drop!
Why couldn't you feel Darth Maul approaching a lot sooner than this?
They knew that they were being followed, hence the running.
Take off.
Why doesn't Obi-Wan help Qui-Gon fight this guy? Neither of the Jedi are important for this ship. They just need to get Queen Amidala to the Senate. And later, the Jedi Council tells them to go investigate Darth Maul anyway, so why not now?
Don't you think it would be better anyway if she had at least one Jedi escort, just in case Qui-Gon's fight with Maul goes awry? Keep in mind, the Sith were thought to be long gone, so anyone would have been alarmed to encounter a malicious being with the reflexes and skill of one trained in the Force. It's likely that Qui-Gon was not optimistic about his odds.
I made this for you. I carved it out of a pore snippet.
When did you have time to do that? The total time Qui-Gon and everybody was down on the planet was like 3 days, and most of that time was spent fixing up your pod racer.
He may have brought it along and finished it on the ship. Or he could have worked on it intermittently over the 3 days the Jedi were there. You said most of the time was spent working on his pod racer, implying that there was, in fact, free time beyond that.
I'm grateful for your concern, Chancellor.
Do you think that maybe this fake queen has actually been playing the queen for so long she's gone too deep undercover? You think maybe she feels like she's actually the queen right now?
This is just speculation that tangentially relates to the movie. Would it affect the main story in the slightest if this were true? You can't just pose a hypothetical and claim that it's something wrong with the movie, because it doesn't happen.
These airships all stay in their lanes, despite there not being any clear Back to the Future 2 lane markers or anything.
Taken from the wiki, the planet's sky lanes directed the air traffic of airspeeders via auto-navigation systems that moved the speeders along pre-programmed routes. As such, crashes were extremely rare.
A boy. His cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have seen in a life form.
Therefore, he's a good guy, I think.
This isn't what Qui-Gon was saying. He is stating that, with proper training, Anakin could become a powerful force for good.
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force.
No, because Star Wars would never do anything as stupid as having some ancient prophecy muddy the waters, right? Who makes these prophecies?
From the wiki. As foretold in a Jedi prophecy, made by an ancient Jedi mystic, and recorded via Screw It.
Afraid to lose her, I think.
Well, wouldn't you be too? Jedi Council makes it out like loving your mom is bad.
This is where cracks in the Jedi Order's principles begin to show. They believe that attachment of any kind can lead down a path to the dark side, as we see with Anakin over the course of the prequels. However, it is Luke's attachment to Vader that leads to his redemption in the end. This is a hint that the Jedi Order are misguided in their principles.
Did something happen to the blockade? Remember, absolutely nothing changed since they left, except the Trade Federation has a tighter stronghold on the planet, so why the free reign to fly into Naboo all of a sudden?
The Federation does have a tighter stronghold on this surface, meaning that there would be little opportunity for anyone on the planet to escape into space. The Federation likely realized this and decided that a full blockade was no longer necessary, probably because they were more than equipped to prevent escape from the surface, leaving only one Luke or Hulk in orbit from which to control the droid army.
Ancient statues that are never explained and have no bearing on the plot accidentally inspire Lost.
Would you prefer that a brief 5-minute detour be taken to explain these moi? Well, here it is. The earliest off-worlders to arrive were a reptilian species known as the Also, we know you've seen Lost!
Phantom Menace accidentally inspires all the albums made by T-Pain.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Oh, why didn't they just do this before?
What do you mean they should have done this before? The AATs fire on the shields both to test their durability and to let audiences know that the shields are impenetrable by energy projectiles. They deployed the droids as a secondary plan because the shields were still up.
Wait, here it is.
While looking for the trigger, Anakin, a trained pilot, first pushes 2 dashboard buttons before grabbing the obvious trigger device.
Hey, remind me where, on a pod racer, the blaster cannons are located. What makes you think he has vast experience as a pilot? He has been pod racing for years, but those don't have blaster cannons.
Why isn't Anakin dead? He doesn't even know how to fly this thing yet, and he's running straight into the enemy without any problem.
You just said that Anakin was an experienced pilot, and obviously, the Force can enhance one's reflexes. It makes sense that he doesn't die here.
We're about to see our first true scene of suspense in the movie, but what the hell is this place? This is some Galaxy Quest here.
This is a plasma refinery complex.
This one's a decoy.
Look, I know you want to make these Trade Federation guys half-wits, but do they really think the real queen would just run out in the open like this to save a decoy? I know you want to make these Trade Federation guys half-wits.
Now this is pod racing.
No, it's not.
Exactly. This isn't pod racing.
While looking for the trigger, Anakin, a trained pilot, first pushes 2 dashboard buttons before grabbing the obvious trigger device. Darth Maul taunts Obi-Wan here, but wouldn't it be pretty easy for him to kill Obi-Wan by, spear throwing his lightsaber 5 feet down into Obi-Wan's face?
You're missing the point. Maul's overconfidence is his weakness. He could kill Obi-Wan here, but he is sure that, because he's in a compromising position, there is no way Obi-Wan can survive. In other words, where's the fun in that?
Darth Maul stands perfectly still while Obi-Wan does all this bullshit to kill him.
Maul is frozen in awe that Obi-Wan just leaped out of the pit, making him very surprised at his quick thinking.
Also, the coolest character this trilogy has gets killed like a little bitch in the first movie.
No, he didn't. And you haven't even begun to comprehend how cool Maul can be.
Confer on you the level of Jedi Knight. The Council does.
Because you killed that one Sith guy, and not because you passed whatever nebulous trials were talked about earlier, but which were never shown.
Exactly. These trials are never shown. Who's to say that he didn't complete these trials, seeing as how no one knows what they are?
Always two there are.
Except when you kill one, right? Then there's only one, right?
Well, yeah, until the master finds a new apprentice, or the apprentice becomes a master, who then finds an apprentice. Anakin's pod racer is actually faster than Sebulba's. I can't say that word. Sebulba, tongue tied. I hate that name. I hate it so much. I hate it with all my heart and my soul. Sebulba is taking advantage of his pods. Oh my gosh.